The message arrived on a Tuesday. It came through the special communication channel that Earth had established after first contact 10 years ago. The United Earth Space Agency headquarters buzzed with excitement as officials gathered around the main screen. "It's an invitation," said Director Alan Peters, his eyes wide with disbelief. "They've invited Earth to participate in the Galactic Olympics." The room fell silent. The Galactic Olympics, held every 50 standard cycles, was the most prestigious sporting event in the known universe. Over 200 species competed for glory and diplomatic standing. Humans had only been aware of galactic civilization for a decade, and most alien species still viewed them as primitive newcomers. "They classified us as a Category 3 species," said Dr. Susan Bell, frowning as she read through the details. "That's their designation for physically inferior species." Director Peters rubbed his chin. "Inferior or not, this is our chance to make an impression. We need to assemble our best team." 3 months later, Coach Frank Daniels stood before the 5 humans selected to represent Earth. They gathered in the training facility built specifically for their preparation. "You 5 are the best Earth has to offer," Coach Daniels said, pacing back and forth. "But out there, you'll be facing species that can lift 10 times their body weight, breathe underwater, or run for days without rest." Samantha Sam Miller crossed her arms. The former Army Ranger had short brown hair and a determined look in her eyes. "Then we'll just have to work 10 times harder." Kyle Patterson looked up from his tablet. The young engineering genius was already studying alien physiology reports. "According to these stats, we're at a disadvantage in almost every physical category." "Almost every category is still not every category," said Liz Rodriguez. "The Olympic swimmer had won gold medals in multiple events. We must have some advantages." Eric Coleman, a former NFL linebacker with shoulders as wide as a doorway, nodded. "Humans are adaptable. We always have been." "And creative," added Olivia Wright, twirling a strand of her blonde hair. The gymnast could contort her body in ways that amazed even alien observers. "We think differently than they do." Coach Daniels smiled. This was exactly the attitude they needed. "The games start in 6 months. We train harder than anyone has ever trained before." As the team began their preparations, more details about the competition arrived. Kyle stayed up late one night, reviewing the rulebook. "Coach," he called, his voice urgent. "You need to see this." Coach Daniels looked over the rules and frowned. "These requirements seem specifically designed to put humans at a disadvantage. Look at the minimum gravity settings for the strength events, and the atmospheric compositions for the endurance races. It's like they want us to fail," Sam said, looking over their shoulders. The next day, Coach Daniels called an emergency meeting with the United Earth Council. "The games are rigged against us," he explained. "We're being set up to embarrass ourselves in front of the galaxy." Council members looked concerned. Some suggested withdrawing from the competition to avoid humiliation. "No," Sam spoke up. "If we back out, we prove exactly what they think about us. That we're weak and afraid." "Sam's right," Eric added. "We didn't get where we are by backing down from challenges." After much debate, Earth decided to compete despite the obvious disadvantages. The team trained even harder, developing special equipment and techniques to compensate for their limitations. 1 week before departure, Director Peters addressed the team. "You carry the hopes of 8 billion humans. But remember, this isn't just about winning medals. It's about showing the galaxy what humans are capable of." Sam looked at her teammates, a fierce determination in her eyes. "They think they've rigged these games against us, but they've never met humans before. They don't know what we can do when our backs are against the wall." As their ship prepared to leave Earth's orbit, Coach Daniels gathered the team for one final message. "They invited us as a joke. Let's make sure the punchline isn't what they expected." The human team stepped off their ship onto Nexus Prime, the massive space station where the Galactic Olympics would be held. Sam's eyes widened at the sight before them. The docking bay alone was bigger than most cities on Earth, filled with ships of every size and shape. Creatures of all kinds moved about, some with 6 legs, others floating above the ground, and some that seemed to be made of living crystal. "Stay close," Coach Daniel said. "Our accommodations are in Sector 7. As they walked through the main promenade, aliens turned to stare at them. Some pointed, others whispered to each other. A few even laughed openly. "They're looking at us like we're animals in a zoo," Liz whispered. "Let them look," Eric replied. "They won't be laughing when we're done." A tall, spider-like creature with 8 gleaming eyes blocked their path. "Ah, the humans have arrived," it said through its translator. "I am Ziktal of the Arachnoids. I look forward to crushing your team in the strength competitions." "We'll see about that," Eric said, standing tall despite being shorter than the alien. "Indeed we will." Ziktal clicked its mandibles in what might have been a laugh. "I can lift 6 times my body weight." "What can you lift, soft one?" Before Eric could respond, Coach Daniels guided the team away. "Save it for the competition," he muttered. They hadn't gone far when 4 blue-skinned aliens with 4 arms each approached them. "The famous humans," one said, looking them up and down. "We are Centaurians. Our race has won the speed trials for the last 3 Olympics." "Congratulations," Sam said politely. "Your species has only 2 legs," another Centaurian noted. "How primitive. Will you even finish the race, I wonder?" Sam clenched her jaw, but said nothing. When they finally reached their quarters, the team was exhausted from the attention. Their rooms were small, and the air felt slightly thin, as if the oxygen levels were set just below human comfort. "Kyle, check the atmospheric controls," Coach Daniels said. "Make sure they're not playing games with our air." Kyle examined the panel. It's set at 19% oxygen. Earth standard is 21%. "I can fix it." A chime at the door interrupted them. A small purple alien with large eyes stood there. "Greetings, humans. I am Xor Thul, your tournament liaison. I trust your quarters are satisfactory. The oxygen levels are below human standards," Coach Daniel said. "Oh." Xor Thul blinked slowly. "An oversight, surely. I will have it corrected." He handed them each a tablet. "Here are the competition schedules and rulebooks. The opening ceremony is tomorrow at 800 station time." After the alien left, Sam scrolled through the rulebook. "Coach, look at this. They've added weight requirements to the endurance race. We have to carry 30% of our body weight. And the swooning events will be held in liquid with triple Earth's density," Liz added. "The strength competition now includes a minimum gravity setting of 1.5 g, Eric said, frowning. Coach Daniels shook his head. "We suspected this. Let's go talk to the committee." The Galactic Olympic Committee headquarters was a grand structure at the center of the station. The team was made to wait 2 hours before being allowed to see Grand Arbiter Zoltan, a tall, thin alien with pale skin and no visible nose. "What seems to be the problem, Earth representatives?" Zoltan asked, his voice cold. "The rules have been modified to specifically disadvantage humans," Coach Daniels explained. "The rules are the same for all Category 3 species," Zoltan replied. "But they were changed after we accepted the invitation," Sam pointed out. "Minor adjustments for safety and competitive balance." Zoltan waved a 6-fingered hand dismissively. "Your primitive understanding of galactic sporting standards is noted, but the rules stand." As they left the committee headquarters, Olivia noticed a small frog-like alien watching them from behind a cleaning bot. "What do we do now, Coach?" Kyle asked. "We adapt," Coach Daniels replied. "It's what humans do best. They want to rig the game. Fine. We'll just have to change how we play." Olivia saw the small frog-like alien again the next day. She was practicing her stretches in a quiet corner of the training area when she noticed him watching from behind a maintenance panel. "Hello there," she said gently. "It's okay, I won't hurt you." The alien hesitated, then hopped closer. "You are human," he said in a high-pitched voice. "I am Glix. I fix things on station. Nice to meet you, Glix. I'm Olivia. Glix looked around nervously. Humans not supposed to do well here. Big joke for others. Olivia stopped stretching. What do you mean? Glix hear things. Officials laugh about humans. Say you good entertainment. Say you fail big, make good viewing. He tapped his webbed fingers together anxiously. Betting pools very big. Many credits on human failure. They invited us just to laugh at us. Olivia felt her face grow hot. Yes. Sorry. Glix not think it right. The alien's large eyes blinked sadly. Olivia thanked Glix for the information and immediately found Coach Daniels and the rest of the team in their quarters. So we're just here as comic relief, Sam said after Olivia explained what she'd learned. It makes sense, Kyle added. I've been looking into the station's networks. Give me an hour. While the others discussed this new information, Kyle worked on his tablet, fingers flying across the screen. His face grew more serious with each minute. I'm in, he finally announced. I accessed the committee's private communications. The team gathered around as Kyle displayed his findings. Look at this message from 3 months ago, right after we accepted the invitation. The message read, Human participation approved. Adjust events as discussed. Maximum entertainment value expected. Wagering opportunities significant. And here's another from 2 weeks ago. Kyle scrolled down. Rules modifications complete. Human failure probability calculated at 98.7%. Broadcasting rights sold to all major systems. Who's behind this? Coach Daniels asked. Kyle brought up another file. Chief Commissioner Draknar of the Draconian Empire. He controls most of the gambling operations in this sector. An image appeared of a large reptilian alien with scales that shimmered like oil on water. His yellow eyes seemed to glow with cruel intelligence. So what do we do? Liz asked. Withdraw. And give them exactly what they want. Eric shook his head. No way. Sam stood up and faced the team. They think we're going to fail. They've bet on it. They've changed the rules to make sure of it. She smiled slowly. But they don't know humans very well, do they? What are you suggesting? Coach Daniels asked. We use it against them, Sam replied. They expect us to lose, so they won't see us coming. We won't just compete. We'll win. But how? Olivia asked. The rules are stacked against us. We're humans, Kyle said, a spark of understanding in his eyes. We adapt. We find loopholes. We make tools. It's what we do. Exactly, Sam nodded. Kyle, keep digging. Find every rule, every specification. We need to know exactly what we're working with. I can help with training adjustments, Eric offered. If they expect brute force, we'll use leverage and technique instead. And I'll work on our equipment, Liz added. If we can modify our gear within the rules, we might gain some advantages. Coach Daniels looked at his team with pride. This is exactly the spirit we need. They think they know what humans are capable of. Let's show them how wrong they are. That night, as the team worked late into the station's artificial night cycle, Glix returned with more information. He slipped Olivia a data chip. Station schematics, he whispered. Show training areas, competition venues. Might help. Thank you, Glix, Olivia said. Why are you helping us? The small alien's throat sac expanded slightly. Glix from Small World. Know what it like when big species look down on you. Want fair chance for all. As Glix hopped away, Coach Daniels addressed his team. Tomorrow, the games begin. They think we're a joke. His eyes gleamed with determination. Let's show them what humans do best. The impossible. The first day of competition arrived with great fanfare. Thousands of aliens filled the massive central arena for the opening ceremony. The human team marched in behind Earth's flag, heads held high despite the snickers, and pointing from the crowd. Eric's event, the Megalith Lift, was scheduled first. The rules were simple. Lift the heaviest weight possible. But when Eric entered the competition area, his heart sank. The gravity had been set to 1.8 times Earth normal, making his body feel like it was being crushed. Around him stood aliens twice his size with extra limbs or muscles that rippled under thick hides. Contestant Eric Coleman of Earth, the announcer called. Category 3 species. The crowd murmured with amusement. Eric approached the starting weight, a block of dense metal that weighed 200 kilograms. Under the increased gravity, it felt like nearly 400 kilograms. He gripped the handles and pulled. His face turned red with effort, but he managed to lift it to waist level. The crowd seemed surprised. The other competitors lifted their weights with ease. The arachnoid, Ziktal, casually hoisted 600 kilograms as if it were nothing. Round after round, the weights increased. Eric struggled more each time. By the 5th round, he couldn't lift the weight at all. He finished last out of 12 competitors. A valiant effort by the human, the announcer said, unable to hide the mockery in his voice, as expected from such a developing species. Eric returned to the team area, frustrated and angry. "I'm sorry," he told Coach Daniels. "It was like trying to lift a car." "You did your best," Coach Daniels replied. "And you learned something important. We now know exactly what we're up against." Meanwhile, Sam had discovered more problems. "The endurance race tomorrow will be held in an atmosphere with 15% nitrogen oxide," she told the team. "That's toxic to humans if we breathe it for more than a few minutes. They can't expect us to run in poison," Liz protested. "According to the rules, we're allowed breathing apparatus if our species cannot tolerate the standard atmosphere," Kyle said, checking the rulebook. "But it has to be passive, not powered." Throughout the day, the human team watched as their competitors dominated events. The Centaurians won every speed trial. The crystalline Lithans swept the precision contests. News reports across the galaxy showed highlights of human failures, often with commentary that ranged from condescending to openly mocking. "Earth's first Galactic Olympics is going as expected," one alien reporter said. "The primitive species is providing valuable experience, though perhaps not valuable competition." That night, the team worked frantically. Kyle and Liz modified breathing filters using materials from their ship. Eric studied videos of the winning lifters, noting their techniques. "They used their center of gravity differently," he observed. "Maybe I can adapt some judo principles to the next lifting event." Olivia practiced her zero-gravity routine for hours, making small adjustments based on what she'd seen from successful competitors. On the second day, something unexpected happened. Liz entered the aquatic velocity event, a swimming race through liquid 3 times denser than water. The other competitors had fins, gills, or powerful tails. No one expected the human to finish, let alone place. But Liz had studied fluid dynamics. She modified her swim technique to use the density to her advantage, creating different arm and leg movements that pushed against the heavy liquid more efficiently. The crowd fell silent as Liz kept pace with the leaders. When she touched the finish line, the scoreboard showed her in second place. She had won a silver medal. The human team erupted in cheers. Coach Daniels hugged Liz as she exited the pool. "That's how it's done." Across the arena, Commissioner Draknar watched with narrowed yellow eyes. He hissed something to an aide, who nodded and hurried away. As the team celebrated their first medal, Sam noticed aliens in the crowd looking at them differently. The mocking smiles had faded, replaced by curious stares and thoughtful expressions. "They didn't expect that," Sam said quietly to Coach Daniels. "No," he agreed, "and that's exactly why we'll win. We're the underdogs, and they've never seen underdogs before." Liz's surprising silver medal changed everything. The human team gathered in their quarters that night with new energy. Kyle sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by holographic displays showing alien competitors in action. "I've been studying their physiology," he explained. "Each species has strengths, but they also have weaknesses. The arachnoids are strong but tire quickly. The Centaurians have speed but poor endurance. How does that help us? Eric asked, still nursing his pride after his last-place finish. It means we can target our approach, Kyle replied. Humans aren't the strongest or the fastest, but we have something most species don't. We're balanced. We can adapt. Coach Daniels nodded. Kyle's right. We need to stop trying to beat them at their own game and start playing to our strengths. For the next 3 days, the team worked on new strategies. Eric practiced techniques that used leverage instead of raw strength. Sam developed a steady pace for endurance events that would allow her to maintain energy while others tired. Olivia perfected movements in zero gravity that took advantage of human spatial awareness. On the 4th day of competition, Olivia entered the zero-G gymnastics event. The arena was a large spherical space with no gravity. Competitors had to move through a series of glowing hoops in specific patterns while being judged on grace, precision, and creativity. The alien competitors spun and twisted with natural ease. A jellyfish-like creature simply flowed through the course like water. A 6-armed alien performed complex rotations that drew gasps from the crowd. When Olivia's turn came, she moved differently. Instead of fighting the lack of gravity, she used gentle touches against the safety walls to change direction. Her human sense of balance, evolved over thousands of years on Earth, gave her a unique awareness of her body's position. Where others relied on extra limbs or natural abilities, Olivia used pure skill. The judges awarded her a bronze medal. It was the 2nd medal for Earth. Later that day, Eric got another chance in a different strength event, the orbital tug. 2 competitors pulled on opposite ends of a cable, trying to move each other across a line. Instead of trying to outmuscle his opponent, Eric used his lower center of gravity and careful footwork to create mechanical advantage. He won his first match against a surprised Lithan, then another against a furry creature with powerful arms. By the final round, the crowd was watching with fascination as the human used technique to defeat physically superior opponents. Eric took home another bronze medal. The human team now had 3 medals, far more than anyone had expected. That night, Sam discovered something strange in her room. My breathing apparatus for tomorrow's race has been tampered with, she told the team, showing them the damaged filter. They're getting worried, Coach Daniels said. We're not following their script. Kyle worked through the night to repair the equipment. As he did, he accessed the station's betting records again. The odds on humans have shifted, he reported. We're still underdogs, but not the joke we were at the start. Some people are actually betting on us now. The next morning, Sam competed in the endurance circuit, a grueling race through environments with different gravitational pulls, temperatures, and atmospheres. With her repaired breathing apparatus and carefully planned pace, she conserved energy while other racers pushed too hard too early. By the final section, only Sam and 2 other competitors remained in contention. The Centaurian leader, who had mocked humans on their first day, was gasping for breath as Sam passed him. She finished in 2nd place, earning a silver medal. News spread quickly through Nexus Prime. The humans had earned 4 medals in events where they were expected to fail completely. Other competitors began to watch them with wary respect instead of amusement. In the committee room, Commissioner Draknar slammed his scaled fist on the table. This is unacceptable. The humans are making a mockery of our predictions. Perhaps we underestimated them, one official suggested. No, Draknar hissed. We simply haven't been thorough enough in our arrangements. Increase the difficulty factors for all remaining human events, and begin testing them for performance enhancements. I want samples taken immediately. As Sam celebrated with her team, a group of official-looking aliens approached them. Contestant Samantha Miller, one said coldly, "You are required for immediate testing." Sam stood in a sterile white room as alien medical officers took blood samples, skin cells, and various scans of her body. This was the 3rd random test she had been subjected to in 2 days. No other athletes had been tested so frequently. We detect unusual hormone levels, one of the medical officers said, looking at a screen with strange symbols. consistent with performance enhancement. That's adrenaline, Sam replied calmly. It's natural in humans during competition. The officer made a dismissive sound. We will need to investigate further. You are prohibited from competing until cleared. Back in the team quarters, Coach Daniels was furious. They're trying to disqualify you on false pretenses. They can't handle that humans are doing better than expected. What can we do? Olivia asked. We don't have any representatives on the medical board. Kyle had been quiet, typing rapidly on his tablet. I think I found something, he said finally. According to the Olympic Charter, any contestant can request an independent review by a neutral third party if they suspect bias in testing. But who would be neutral here? Eric asked. Everyone seems to be in on this scheme. Liz snapped her fingers. The Arcturians, they haven't been competing because they're hosting the next Olympics. They're here as observers only. Coach Daniels immediately filed the request. Meanwhile, the galactic media had begun a different kind of attack. News channels across the station broadcast stories questioning the human team's sudden success. Sources suggest Earth competitors may be using illegal cybernetic enhancements, one reporter announced. Officials are investigating the possibility of hidden technology that gives the primitive species unfair advantages. This is ridiculous, Eric said, watching the broadcast. They accused me of having mechanical joints. Has anyone looked at my score? I came in last in the first event. The psychological pressure increased as other competitors began to avoid the human team. Signs appeared on some practice areas reading Category 1 and 2 species only. Glix visited them again, slipping into their quarters through a maintenance duct. Bad things happening, he told Olivia. Draknar very angry, losing many credits on bets. Some say he changed test results himself. Can you prove that? Coach Daniels asked, suddenly alert. Glix's throat sac pulsed nervously. Glix clean lab at night. See Draknar put human samples in different machine. Not standard procedure. Would you be willing to tell that to the Arcturian Review Board? Sam asked. Glix trembled. Dangerous for Glix. But not right what they do. Glix will help. The review hearing took place the next day. 3 tall, blue-skinned Arcturians listened as Coach Daniels presented their case. When Glix testified about what he had seen, the committee room buzzed with shocked murmurs. The Arcturians ordered a new set of tests conducted under their supervision. Sam was cleared of all allegations of cheating, but she had missed 2 events during the investigation. As the human team left the hearing, they noticed something unexpected. A group of alien athletes from various species waited outside. Elithan stepped forward. We watched what happened, the crystalline being said, its voice like chimes in the wind. Not all of us approve of the treatment you have received. The games should be fair. We compete to test ourselves against the best, added a Centaurian. There is no honor in a rigged victory. For the first time, the humans realized they had allies among the other competitors. Word spread through the station about the unfair testing and the tampering evidence. Many spectators began to cheer for the human team, seeing them as underdogs fighting against corruption. Commissioner Draknar was forced to make a public statement. The Olympic Committee assures all participants that competitions are fair and unbiased. Some administrative errors may have occurred due to unfamiliarity with human physiology. It was a weak excuse, but it allowed the games to continue. The human team returned to competition with renewed determination, now fighting not just for medals but to expose the corruption at the heart of the games. They tried to break us, Sam told her teammates. Instead, they made us stronger. Coach Daniels smiled grimly. And they created something they never expected, respect from our fellow competitors. The final week of the Galactic Olympics arrived. Despite all the obstacles, the human team had collected 7 medals, 2 silver and 5 bronze. It wasn't enough to put them near the top of the medal count, but it was far more than anyone had expected. On the morning of the last day, Coach Daniels received a message from the Olympic Committee. They've invited us to compete in the gauntlet, he told the team. his face serious. "The gauntlet," Liz asked. "What's that?" "It's the final event, the most prestigious competition in the games. Only the top 8 species are invited to send a representative." Coach Daniels looked around at his team. "We've done well enough to qualify." Kyle pulled up information about the gauntlet on his tablet. "It's a multi-stage course that tests strength, speed, endurance, and problem-solving," he explained. "No species has ever won it in their first Olympics." "So who's going to represent us?" Eric asked. All eyes turned to Sam. She had won the most medals for the team and shown the best all-around abilities. "I'll do it," she said simply. That afternoon, the team visited the Gauntlet Arena to study the course. It was massive, a series of challenges that wound through different environments. There were sections with high gravity, low oxygen, extreme cold, and complex puzzles to solve. "This is going to be tough," Sam admitted as they walked back to their quarters. "But not impossible," Coach Daniels replied. "We have one advantage: they still underestimate us." That night, they received word that Commissioner Draknar had made last-minute changes to the gauntlet. The gravity section would now be at 2.2 times Earth normal, instead of 1.8. The low oxygen zone would have even less oxygen than before. "They're targeting our human weaknesses," Kyle said angrily. "Let them," Sam replied with quiet determination. "We'll find a way." The next morning, the arena was packed with spectators. The gauntlet was always the most watched event of the Olympics. Billions of viewers across the galaxy tuned into their screens. 8 athletes stood at the starting line. The arachnoid champion, Ziktal, was the favorite to win. The Centaurian and Lithan competitors were also strong contenders. Sam stood among them, looking small and fragile by comparison. "Representing Earth, Samantha Miller," the announcer said, and a mix of cheers and jeers filled the arena. A signal flashed, and the gauntlet began. The athletes sprinted into the first challenge, a climbing wall that shifted and changed as they climbed. The arachnoid easily scaled it with 8 legs. The Centaurian used its 4 arms to pull ahead. Sam fell behind immediately, her 2 arms and 2 legs seeming inadequate for the task. "She's already falling behind," one commentator noted, as expected from a first-time human competitor. But Sam had studied climbing techniques all her life. She might not have extra limbs, but she had skill and determination. She finished the climbing section in 6th place. Not great, but still in the race. Next came the high-gravity zone. Sam's muscles screamed as she tried to run through what felt like thick mud. The Lithan and several other species pulled ahead, their stronger bodies better able to handle the crushing force. Sam dropped to 7th place. "The human is struggling now," the commentator said. "This section particularly disadvantages Earth physiology." In her ear, Sam heard Kyle's voice through their communication device. "Conserve energy. Short steps. Don't fight the gravity. Work with it." Sam adjusted her stride, leaning forward and taking shorter, quicker steps. She still couldn't match the leader's pace, but she wasn't falling further behind. The toxic atmosphere zone was next. All competitors wore breathing apparatus, but Sam's had been specially designed by Kyle to filter the air more efficiently. While other species began to slow down, feeling the effects of trace toxins that got through their filters, Sam maintained her pace. One by one, competitors began to tire. The arachnoid was still in the lead, but its movements were becoming jerky and uncoordinated. The Centaurian stumbled and had to pause to catch its breath. "Something unexpected is happening," the commentator said with surprise. "The human is now in 5th place and appears to be gaining ground. Her endurance is remarkable." As Sam entered the 4th stage, a complex puzzle that required rearranging energy flows through a 3-dimensional maze, she heard the crowd's tone changing. Some were actually cheering for her now. Sam's fingers moved quickly through the energy maze puzzle. Kyle had trained her on similar problems for hours. While the Lithan struggled with the unfamiliar patterns, Sam completed the puzzle in record time. moving up to fourth place. Extraordinary, the commentator exclaimed. The human has solved the logic section faster than any competitor so far. The next section was an ice field where temperatures dropped well below freezing. While other species slowed, their bodies not designed for extreme cold, Sam's lightweight thermal suit kept her core temperature stable. She passed the Lithan, moving into third place. The human shows remarkable adaptation, the commentator said, no longer hiding his amazement. She appears to be using technology to compensate for biological limitations. In the viewing area, Coach Daniel smiled. It's not just the suit, he told the team. It's that humans evolved on a planet with extreme temperature variations. Our bodies know how to handle cold. Only the arachnoid Zictal and a draconian remained ahead of Sam as they entered the final portion of the gauntlet. An endurance run through changing environments that lasted 5 kilometers. This is where we shine, Eric said excitedly. Humans are persistence hunters. Indeed, as the race continued, Sam's steady pace began to close the gap. The draconian, strong in bursts but poor in sustained effort, began to slow. Sam passed him with 2 kilometers remaining. Now only Zictal remained ahead. The spider-like alien was visibly tiring, its 8 legs no longer moving in perfect coordination. Sam kept her pace steady, her breathing controlled, her mind focused only on the next step. With 1 kilometer left, she drew even with the arachnoid. Zictal glanced at her with all 8 eyes, shock evident in his gaze. Impossible, he gasped. Sam didn't waste breath responding. She pushed forward, drawing on every reserve of energy she had left. The crowd was roaring now, many standing and cheering as the human pulled ahead of the favorite. When Sam crossed the finish line, 3 seconds ahead of Zictal, the arena exploded with sound. She had completed the gauntlet with the second fastest time in Olympic history. Commissioner Draknar stared in disbelief from his private box. Around him, other officials whispered urgently. Everything had gone wrong. The humans hadn't failed. They had triumphed. At the closing ceremony, Earth's team stood proudly on stage. Their total medal count, 8 medals including 1 gold, had placed them 3rd overall in the standings. It was unprecedented for a first-time competing species. Grand Arbiter Zoltan himself presented Sam with her gold medal. On behalf of the Galactic Olympic Committee, he said, his voice carrying across the arena, I congratulate Earth on their remarkable performance. Later that evening, as news spread throughout the galaxy about the human victory, evidence of the conspiracy was released by an anonymous source. Security footage showed Draknar tampering with test results and bribing officials. The scandal rocked the Olympic Committee. Within days, Draknar and several officials were removed from their positions. Grand Arbiter Zoltan issued a formal apology to Earth. The games were meant to bring species together in fair competition, he told the human team. What was done to your team was wrong. In recognition of your species' potential, Earth will be reclassified as a Category 1 competitor for all future games. As the humans prepared to return home, they found themselves surrounded by alien athletes seeking to exchange contact information and establish diplomatic relations. Species that had mocked them now wanted to learn more about Earth. On their final night on Nexus Prime, Coach Daniels raised a glass with his team. When we arrived, they thought we were a joke, he said. They rigged the system against us, but they didn't account for the one thing that makes humans special. We never, ever give up. Sam smiled as she looked at her gold medal. We showed them what humans can do, she said, and this is just the beginning. Back on Earth, the team's victory sparked a wave of interest in the next Galactic Olympics. Thousands of hopeful athletes began training, dreaming of representing humanity among the stars. When reporters asked Sam if she would compete again, she grinned. Absolutely, she said. And next time, we're going for the overall championship. They haven't seen anything yet. Across the galaxy, species that had once dismissed humans as weak now watched with new respect and perhaps a little fear. The universe had learned an important lesson. Never underestimate humans. They may bend, but they don't break. And they always find a way to win.